about
Speaking of temptation,
it. So we have this lovely chart here. I mean, to me, like I see this and I'm thinking, oh, this looks like a great short, but I don't short anything that's 0.0000008 of a cent or whatever the hell that is. But
it's like its float is like in the quadrillions.
it's so ridiculous. So I just want to show you guys where the shorts got screwed again here, because that's kind of like what I do. So I swear to God, man, I gotta start going long on these things.
You really should. I don't. Yeah.
Like it's so easy for me to see this stuff. I just never pay attention to it. Okay, so check this out. So we have, if you look at this, you got this nice little, we got this nice little bull flag going on here, right? So this is actually a pretty bullish chart. Like if you look at that, like I'd probably consider buying in this candle if I actually bought stuff. But so what happens here is, we've talked about this before with reading candlesticks. So when you get this big, what's the technical name for that one? Was that a shooting star? I don't know.
Which one?
This one right here.
Yeah, shooting star.
Okay, I just call it a big top wick. So yeah, you get this shooting star with the big top wick. So volume's always really important, guys, right? Because like you can think of volume as demand, right? Like if you go to a shopping mall or like Christmas time, like everybody's in line to get the new Xbox or whatever, like that's demand, right? That's what volume is. So you just think about this as demand, right? How many people are interested in this stock? So what happens here? If you look at the volume, this candle here, we get it breaking out of this flag essentially. So this is a first move, but a lot of times when you hit the top here, it gets stopped and it can sell back off, right? Like that's why I don't like longing, because it seems like every time I try to buy these, it would just get stuffed. But in this case, it's kind of interesting, and I think this is the reason we had this explosive move, is because this was a huge volume candle again, but we had this huge upper wick, which basically signals like a whole bunch of selling, a whole bunch of shorting, right? So like as soon as this thing popped, like everybody's selling out of their positions, everybody's shorting because like they're taking profits, right? You got to remember, we're looking at the beginning of October down here over to mid October, end October. So in 3 weeks, like some of these people that were holding since back here, I mean, I can't do the math on this. Like, what would they be up? 400? Yeah, 400%, right? Something like that. So, yeah. If you bought in this run up, by the time you get this pop, you're up 2, 3, 400%, right? So you're taking your profits. Like that's huge gains in a matter of 3 weeks, right? So that's kind of what this is shorting. People selling, they smack it back down. But then what happens the next day is you have this other candle that's strong, right? It comes back up and it closes high. This to me is like, if you're short, bail. Like if you see that after a big stuff candle like this, like that's when you want to get out. Because anytime you see a big stuff candle like this where it pushes it down really quickly, the next candle you should see is a big fat red candle. So if you don't see the big fat red candle and you see a little green candle, if you're long, that's a great buy signal. If you're short, that's your signal to get the hell out of there, because it's going to do this, right? So that's kind of, I think, the signifier for this big move. And obviously, coupled with all the news and the excitement and everybody's trying to get rich overnight and all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of just like the quick, Cole's Notes technical analysis on that one there. You have anything you want to add? Or?
Yeah, that candle is super important, because if you're any kind of institutional trader or like just a professional, the classic reversal from a shooting star, what you want to see is that U shape that you just described. One red candle, one red or green, the shooting star, and another red. It creates this reversal to U shape. That's when it's confirmed this bitch is going down. But
Yeah.
it didn't. But it didn't. And so when that day, when that candle closed the opposite, like everybody who's a professional or an institutional investor was looking at that and they were paying attention. They're like, these guys are fucked. We're going in.
Yeah, exactly. That's why like being able to read candlesticks and stuff like that is so important, because it just makes everything super simple. Like this is a really, like, I mean, like this Shiba thing, like it's gambling, guys. Like it's garbage. Like if you're gonna, like we have people messaging us being like, oh yeah, like just threw like 10 grand into this thing, and it's 2 days ago when it's up here. Like, I mean, next week, this thing could be back down here. It could be at new lows. Like that's the reality. And like, it probably will, it might not. Maybe it goes up 10 times, right? Who knows? I don't know. Nobody knows. Bottom line is it's a gamble. So like, if you're just buying this thing up here last week, you have to be aware that you're just gambling. Like you honestly, if you're gonna throw 10 grand into this, it's like buying $10,000 worth of lottery ticket. Like that's what it is. And if you don't realize that, then you need to not put your money in the market, in my opinion. If you're buying down here based on technical analysis as a trader, that's very different. If you're playing the move, you get in, you get out. Like this is 100% move right here from 4 to 8. So you take that, you take your move and get out. Like when I trade like line to line is what I call it. So like I literally like let's say I was shorting this for example, just to make this really simple. We'll wrap it up after this, but just to make it really simple. Let's say for whatever reason I had these two horizontal lines drawn in from some daily resistance back, a couple months ago or whatever, right? So if I was playing this move and I saw this rip up, I'd short into this line if that's what I'm looking at, and I'd cover everything into this line. And that would be it. I'd be done. I wouldn't touch this next move. I wouldn't touch this candle. I wouldn't try and add more when it broke. I would short here and I'd cover there and I would take it off my screen because that's the move that I know. That's what I'm waiting for. It did what I wanted. Everything else to me is gambling because I don't know what it's going to do at that point. It's the same thing with this, right? Like if you're a long trader, you see this stuff move, you see this next green candle, you're thinking, okay, this thing's going to go up. So what do? Well, you zoom back. Okay, so here's our previous high, like 4, right? So if it was me, I'd draw a line right across there, and I would say, okay, well, I bought in here, so like what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sell probably a big chunk into this line, which in the grand scheme of things looks like selling way too early, but that's your next resistance level. So like I'd sell into this line, and then maybe I'd hold the rest, and I just sell a piece here, piece here, piece here, piece here, and then maybe I got my last sell halfway up this candle, and then it goes way up again. Well, I'm already out. Like I'm not gonna buy in again because the move I was looking for was this one down here and then just sell in pieces up into resistance. And that's it, right? So that's kind of the way you guys need to look at this is you got to have a plan. You got to have an entry plan, you got to have an exit plan, and you got to know what your risk is because if you don't have those three things in place and you're putting your money in there, you literally are better off just going out and buying $10,000 worth of lottery tickets as opposed to putting $10,000 into this thing because you have no idea what it's going to do. Like David and I have been looking at these charts. David, you've been doing this for what, 8, 9 years? I've been looking at these for 4 years. So we got, 12, 13 years of looking at charts between the two of us. I mean, I'm pretty confident to say that neither one of us can tell you whether or not this thing's going to go up or down on Monday. Like you can't know. So you play the move and you get out. That's it.
It's just funny that we see a lot of messages of people like online buying in at this point, and this like if you're reading the chart right now, this point is the worst time to buy. It's like it's called reversion to the mean, right? It's a trading right in the middle. This is no man's land. This is not the time to take a position. There's no directional bias. You don't know what's
Yeah.
going to happen.
Well, I mean, like if you did want to buy up here, like what I would do is wait for another one of these. Like, if this consolidates
Mm.
over a period of time, and we get another one of these bull flags happening, if this just stays in this range and you start getting a bull flag, then look to buy because now you got some support, you got a bit of a pattern to work on. But like if you're just buying into a spike like this, I mean, there's nothing. Like this thing could come all the way back down to this top before it finds a base and comes back up. So, if you threw 10 grand into this thing and it goes from, 7.5, 8 back down to 4, okay, you just lost 5 grand. Are you like, you're probably just going to panic and sell, right? And then maybe it wicks right down to here and then it bounces up and it goes to 20 and you're going to lose your mind. And then you're going to do the same thing again. You're going to buy up a here again. And then it's probably going to drop all the way back down to 0. And then you're going to be fucked. You're going to lose your 20 grand plus your 5 grand you already put in. Like, so just don't do it, guys. Be patient. Look for the lines, read the chart, and be smart about it. It's not an investment. This is a trade. If you want to trade this, trade it based on a plan. Don't put your mortgage into here. Don't sell your car and throw all the money into this thing because you think you're going to be rich overnight. It's not going to happen. And if you do make $1 million overnight, I guarantee you're going to lose it in a year in the stock market anyway.
Oh, that reminds me. That story that you said somebody put 8 grand into Shiba and it was worth whatever billion, 5 billion right now.
Yeah.
So I now I'm thinking about it more, and I'm like, that's I think that thing is like a bit of a scam ish. It was like it was a setup, like because people who don't know how to trade feed off one story like that. It's like if even one guy in a billion did that, you think you could be that guy too, and then you're
Um,
like, you know,
the way again, you can just attribute that to the lottery, right? Like, how many people buy lottery tickets every day? I don't even know. Like a million, 10 million? Like I don't know. Is that low? Maybe it's 50 million, right? Like I have no idea. But like, do they print news stories about the 10 or 20 or 30 million people that lost? No, you only hear the one single article about so and so who won $400 million on the Lotto Max last week, and then everybody gets excited and they're like, "Oh man, I got to buy a lottery ticket." Like there wouldn't be enough news articles in the world to print stories about everybody who lost money. It's the same thing, right? Like you're never going to hear the story about the guy who lost his house or the guy who got divorced or the guy who couldn't send his kids to college because he lost all his money in Shiba. You're going to hear about the one guy who lives in his mom's basement, has nothing to lose, threw 20 grand into this thing last year because he thought it was, just a YOLO play or whatever, and he made, $100 million, and now he's riding off into the sunset. Like, good for him. It's not going to happen to you. And if
didn't
it
they
does, then congratulations, but don't ever trade again because that doesn't mean you know what you're doing.
didn't they interview that guy? He did Doge. Remember, even after Doge crashed, he was still put on the news. He had long hair. He was like, I bought Doge. He's a millionaire.
Oh yeah, is the guy that call himself like slum Doge millionaire? Is that him? Fuck, what is that thing at now?
But he's like, ooh, is that Doge?
No, is it this one? Yeah,
That is
yeah.
Doge. What the hell?
That is a hideous chart, man.
It's going back
So
down.
look, right? Like this is the kind of thing that we might get, right? Like it's kind of similar to sheep. So we might get this where you have this kind of low consolidation, rips up, everybody buys in here, and then it drops down like, over 50%. Like, that's a lot of people are going to sell. They're going to panic. And then, but maybe it does this. So what I would say is when it goes up here, wait, see if it does this, and then look. Remember we were just talking about that big top wick on the other chart? Well, look what we have here. We have a huge bottom wick, right? That's a lot of buying pressure. So now we're consolidating and now we're creeping up. Okay, now we can start looking at buying because we have a set risk and we have clear candle indication that there's buying pressure on this thing to go higher. That's when you want to buy. You don't want to buy in all this nonsense over here when you have nothing to work off of. So like Mr. Slum Doge millionaire is, his millions probably turned into like, I don't know, 100 grand or something by this point.
And the worst part is at this point, he actually thinks he's lost millions of dollars unrealized. Like he thinks he was a millionaire, and now he's like,
I don't even know. Like, I don't know anything about that guy. Because
I
he's like,
don't.
uh, but
But
whatever.
I guarantee you, he's telling people his sob story. Oh, I was a millionaire.
Yeah.
No,
Well, if he had a sold, he would have been a millionaire. I would have sold it all and put it into Tesla.
right?
All right. All right. Let's wrap it up there. I think that's enough of that for now.
Yeah, I think if anything, people should take a deeper look on the psychological side of it because that's the real battle here. Not not
Yeah.
not not misunderstanding the technicals. That's easy, like you said.
I think the number one word of advice I can give, I don't know the best way to articulate it, but basically if you feel excited and you feel like you have to get in right this second, that's probably a really good indicator that you should not do that. Because if you're getting really excited and you're pumped and you're all giddy about something and you don't know anything about trading, that's probably a really good indicator that that's the worst time to buy. Because anybody like David and I, when we know that everybody's excited about stuff, that's when we're looking to take a trade because we know that a lot of people are going to do stupid shit, which is going to make it move like in a big range that we can make money on, right? So if you don't know how to trade and you're just buying based on a bunch of news articles and all your buddies are talking about it and you're really excited and you feel like you're going to get rich overnight, that's probably the worst time that you can buy. So if you can keep that in your head, then you'll probably save yourself a lot of headaches.
I think they'll probably end up losing the money, but as long as they keep that in their head, they'll realize that, oh, this is me doing this thing, and hopefully they can refine it and not make that mistake again. They'll recognize it.
Yeah, just write it down. Be like, I'm really excited, but I'm buying a bunch of Shiba. October 30th.
Yeah,
And then leave
yeah,
it on your desk. And then if you lose all your money, you can put that on your wall so that next time you get really excited about something, you go, that happened last time. I'm not going to do that again.
yeah. Trust us, me and Caitlin have bled blood and bled tears and bled money
Oh,
to get
yeah.
here.
Lots of money. Lots of money.